Hey, this is Didi Sanchez from ScrappyGamerDDS, and welcome back to my video for this month, which is August 2017, as part of the Oh Inspired collaboration, which Alicia from Call Me Crafty Owl has gathered together a fantastic group of women who are each doing a video based on the same inspiration piece that Alicia has sent to us all. And so our installment this month comes from actually one of our own hoppers. Poet Spice has done a nice card. It was actually a Mother's Day card that she had created, and Alicia has chosen that, and so we will all send the video, and you can see the video of the original in the description, as well as get links to all of the videos for everyone who is going to be participating with this video hop. In a minute, or in a few seconds, not a minute, but I'm gonna insert the photo right here of the card inspiration. So they're calling this a fold back card. I think I've heard it called the Z fold card, but basically this double layer with like a peekaboo inside. So it's not that complicated, and this time around my video is going to be practically like a tutorial. It's going to be a tutorial basically. I'm going to go from start to finish and describe everything as we go. So get ready for that. Okay, so I'm voiceovering it as I see the video because there was a lot of noise going on, and I was watching Orphan Black, which I'm so binging on right now. But I'm showing you the supplies, which this is some DSP from Stamping Up. I'm not sure exactly what the name is. I probably can go and get it, but I know it's kind of old, and so it might not even be available anymore. Some very basic Recollections black cardstock, regular white cardstock, and then I used a 110-pound Recollection paper to make the card base. I'm using this Indie Girl Unity stamp. Just something really simple, a nice card. You'll see what it says later on when I show you the insert. Memento to stamp it, a little bit of Brilliance ink to just accent the gold, and some washi with some dots, because there are some dots in the stamp itself in the background of the girl. So it's just a few things I grabbed from my stash, making like an everyday kind of "you are beautiful" I think is the main idea kind of card. And so I'm doing the usual here. We all know how to make create a card base for the most part, I think. Take your 8.5 by 11 on the long side, set it up to 5.5, cut it down the center, and then you can get two of the shorter side fold open cards. Some people call them what is it called? The hot dog? No, that's not the hot dog. It's the hamburger one. But basically, you do that. So I've cut it in half, and now I'm going to score down the center to create just a standard card. So at the 4.25 mark, I'm doing the score. And then what needs to happen to create this is that you need another score line. So basically, each panel now is 4.25. So what you need to do is score it at 2 1/8. And so that's what I'm lining up right here. I'm lining up at 2 1/8 to create that score line, so that I can fold it back and forth and be able to add my panels and to do that peekaboo effect that's so cute from the Z fold card. Okay, so the Z is there. I'm reinforcing the Z just with my finger. I couldn't find my bone folder, or basically I didn't want to go up and get it. So I'm showing you the Z aspect of it. And now what you need to do is figure out what you're going to do in terms of your panels, your layers. So I'm definitely going to put two different black mats in there. So I'm going to have a main black mat, which right now I'm cutting down from 5.5, which is the height of the card. I'm going to do 5.25, and then the width of the card is 4.25, so I'm going to do 4. So that's going to bring it in, and it's going to have that white border, and it's going to have that black border. So that way it just gives a little more finesse to the card, a little more finish, and dresses it up, and it makes it a heavier card. So there you go. See, I'm fitting it, making sure that it lays out well. And now I need another piece eventually for the front, but I'm doing things as I'm doing as I go. So what I think I'm doing now, I'm sorry, I couldn't be editing this out. Maybe I should, but no, there you go. See, I said, oh, you know what? I need the black. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do for the front. So I'm playing around with the measurements. I know that the front of the card should be 4.25. Of course, I can't go just a regular mat size. I need to go a little bit smaller, but then I need to go even a little bit smaller than that. So I believe I chopped it down to from 4 1/4 to 3 1/4, taking off an inch, and then to 3. So it's 3 wide. It's 3 wide, and then since I did the inch and then 1/4 of an inch, what I'm trying to figure out here is from the top, so it's 5.5 inches. I need to go to 4.5 inches, which means I need to go to 4 1/4, so that mat that's on the front is going to be proportionally, shrunken around the whole perimeter. So I do that. So now I have my mat, and I'm just double checking that I like the amount of space that's around there. So, I mean, I'm rattling off the measurements right now, so I'm sure if you really want the measurements, please, leave me a comment and I can type them all out for you right now. I'm not going to put them in the description because there's so much going on with all of our links. It would just become overwhelming. So if you really want the information, I'll be glad to type it up for you, or at least break down all the pieces. I don't really have a blog or anything like that. I'm just a videographer, putting my 2 cents out there in the world. So here I'm making the center mat. So I'm basically going 1/2 inch shorter. So, that whole math where I did down to 3 1/4. So this is going to be 2 3/4, and then such and such. And then this mat is just a little bit smaller. So we went from 5.5 to 5 1/4 to 5 for the inside. And the width of that is going from 4 1/4 to 4 to 3 1/4. And now they're taking the front piece. I'm doing the same thing, but I had this odd scrap, so it wound up being a little bigger. So it has a little bit of a border that was bigger. So all I did was eyeballed it, and I said whatever this measurement is, I'm just gonna take a 1/2 inch of it. So it was 3 inches, so I wound up taking it down to 2.5 inches, and giving myself a little bit big of a border, so it's more of a focal image, more of a focal there going on. So here I am, seeing if I'm going to be able to work it out with this piece of paper here. So sometimes, you want to be very precise, and I do tend to be very precise. And anybody who knows me and I make cards, I hate to waste paper. I mean, we have enough paper in this, oh my God, don't we? But I like to know if I'm going to cut into something that I'm going to be able to make multiples. So anybody who knows me and knows that I just made one card, they're like, oh, that's blasphemous. Okay, so here I go. I got the front panel done. So here I'm jabbering to keep you entertained. And now I'm taking this DSP. So I'm just using a little bit of this. So remember that the front fold was at 2 1/8, and so I'm just doing a 2 inch strip. That means I only went in 1/8, so it's very, very much almost a full panel. And then from 5.5, I went into, what is the math? 5.5 would be 4/8, so 5 3/8 to take off that eighth. And so that this little gold panel, to add a little sparkle to the card, would fit right there perfectly on the front. So as you can see, I'm just dry fading everything as I go. Dry fading, I guess that's some more of a construction term, but just seeing if everything is going to line up, and then before I tape anything down, and then once I've had all my pieces, I will adhere everything. So I checked the washi. It's at the same tone of gold, but I felt like I needed a little bit something else that would work out, and so I had grabbed that because of the gold tone, and also because there's some dots in there, and you'll see me reference that in a few minutes. So right now I'm playing with the stamp. I want to make sure that it fits on the panel because, oddly enough, as precise as I claim to be, I wasn't really paying attention to how wide the stamp was. So sorry I did it off camera, but I was just looking at it and seeing if on all edges the image would stay on the card, and whether or not it would look good being that close to the edge. So I'm not using any kind of stamping pad. That's just a black piece of paper because I don't want to dirty this little table that I have. It's like one of those little tray tables, and it's actually not mine. So I just wanted to make sure I protected it, even though it's black on black, but still. So I'm gonna line up this as best as I can on the bottom, her where her arms are is kind of like straight, so I made that parallel to the edge of the card. So I'm just making sure that I get good ink release onto there, and there we go. And I just, I don't know, I smushed it. I don't. They say not to smush it, but I smush it, and so it looks pretty good. And then I see that I was pointing out the dots, and everything came into focus, and her arms look parallel, and so I'm happy with that. And now I'm also going to put a sentiment. So I didn't put a sentiment on the outside. She's like this indie bohemian chick, and Unity Stamps really had some nice girls. A few maybe a year ago, I think I got the stamp, but they were kind of on the actual woman size. They weren't these wafer thin, wispy. They looked like regular people in terms of shape. And being a big girl myself, I appreciated that. So here I did. I did the stamp, and it's not quite straight, and it also got a little bit smush on the side. So as you know, turn it over, we have another side and another chance. And so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm sorry, I'm playing with something over here, and I just made a clicking noise, so I'm thinking that it's going to be in the background. So I'm lining it up. I kept worrying about my head. I saw my shadow. Like, I kept worrying that I was putting my head in the way. But I actually did a pretty good job of keeping my noggin out of your point of view. So again, just releasing the ink, holding it there for a few seconds to make sure that it gets into the paper. And I like the position. It's in the center. Make sure that I put it in the center because remember, I haven't put anything together, and so everything's going to layer on top of each other. So you got to kind of pay attention when you're doing a card that has an exposed area where it's not all the same side. So this Z-fold, that front panel is smaller and it's in the middle. So therefore, you got to make sure whatever you're stamping, if it's not a full-on thing, is going to be hidden because that's that peekaboo. So here I was just adding that washi. And at first I was like, wait a minute, my sentiment is now not centered, but it was okay. Once I started layering it into the card, I was okay with it. So here I am just figuring out all the pieces. And I had taken that little Brilliance gold, I'm not sure exactly what color, gold dust, or I don't even know. I'm so horrible like that. This is why I'm like, why am I making videos? What do I really know? No, I'm kidding. I love it. I love to craft and to share and stuff like that. So that's why I got into this video thing. So just putting a little bit of gold on the edge, just so that it's not just white on black. It's a hint. Some people may not even notice it at all, but I just wanted to like have that subtle separation. So I actually have like 3 different golds going on in this card. I think right now I had to get up and get my adhesive. Yep, that's what I was doing. So now, since I have all the panels and all the stuff prepped, I'm going to start to adhere everything together. And there's going to be a moment where things go horribly wrong. And so I'm usually really, really good at getting the layers to fit. And you're going to see me trying to do that in a minute or so. And I hold it up, my fingers in the way, whatever, I'm eyeballing, but I've been really, really tired with doing renovations of my craft space, and I wish I had some before pictures, and that way I can just be like, oh, let me do a video on the after, but I might do a room share, just because now that I'm part of this collaboration, it's been like a year since I put stuff out there, and I haven't done a video, and I started doing these, so maybe I'll just like start sharing myself. So yeah, I might do that, a room tour. So this is where things start going horribly wrong. You see, I already bent it up. Then I'm looking on a black table, and it's like, Dee, what are you doing? But here I am trying to get this darn white mat straight. I use white paper so I can see things clearer. I press down so hard, and then it's not even straight. I think this was it. Yeah. Yes. And so what do? You try to rip it off. And let me tell you, this adhesive is, I don't even, who it was. I mean, I usually use an ATG. It was not working out for me. So I was like, I did all this work and I'm like, oh my goodness. And I felt really bad and I'm trying to flatten it out. And then I was thinking, oh, am I going to start from the beginning? And as much as I want this to be as professional as possible, I also want it to be realistic. That happens. Now, when I put it together, did it still have some wrinkles and crinkles and whatnot? It did. Would I have put it out there and give it to, will I give it to a friend? Quite possibly, because the running, not a joke, but the running thing is it's handmade. It's made with love, and if it is a little jacked up now and then, that's okay because it happens. But my sentiment and my thought behind the process was genuine, and therefore, whoopsie, see, not paying attention, was honest, and so therefore, it's all good. So actually, when I met it down and look at it in real life, it's not that bad. So I have to go around the table and underneath my camera to pick this guy up. So the uh, the tape is on there, and now I'm going to put it into the card. And so here I am, hoping that I get it done correctly, because to have that drama again would have been so traumatic. Um, anyway, so here we go. So listen, I mean, as I'm doing this and I'm videotaping and audio, whatever it's called, voiceovering, I'd love to hear your comments. I mean, would you have preferred me to cut all this out and just been like, oh, perfect and pristine? Or do you want to hear the mind jabberings of a fellow crafter? I would be curious to know what you guys think on a regular. Like sometimes I sit there and I love the talking, and sometimes it can be a bit much, and sometimes you have these awesome videos and there's no voiceover, and it kills me as well because I want to know what was going on. Why did they do that? Anyway, so let me know in the comments below. And so here you saw I got the glitter panel, the not glitter, the gold foil panel on there. Boom, boom, lickety split, awesome. And I just had to decide whether I wanted to put up or down. So it had kind of like a triangular feel. So I put them pointing up, which is more of an eye lifting kind of thing. I mean, I learned that in design school way, 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 way ago. And so it would keep your eye moving upward, moving forward. That's when when you point things. That's what it does for you. So here I've put the image on the panel, and so everything is almost ready and good to go. I mean, we're almost done with this. I'm going to need to tape that image. I don't know where I went. Where did I go? Oh, I remember where I went. I put it in front, and it's like you have this really pretty foil, and then you have this sparkly gold, and then at the exact tone, and then you have the panel. And for a minute, I was thinking maybe I should color her in a little bit. I'm not a colorer. I don't know. I'm not big on that. But I was like, I need something. So I went and I grabbed a Wink Stella. That's what I did. In order to add a little bit of sparkle onto her, I pulled the clear one. And I just wanted to put it on her bandana and the bubbles, the little round dots that are behind her. And I was just hoping that it wasn't going to smudge, because I mean, I used the Memento ink, and Wink Stella has whatever kind of liquid in it that it has. And I was just like, I'm hoping that I'm not going to mess this up. And it's very subtle, but it'll give a little bit of something. I know that I had a gold Wink Stella, but I find that the colored ones, they add too much color. And so, if that makes any sense, like it's not translucent, transparent. What's the word? And so it covers up stuff way too much for me. So I like my clear. So here I am adding some to the bubbles to highlight them as well. I don't know why I'm calling them bubbles. They're bubbles. They're round. I don't know. They're floating. And so I wonder how many times I've said Well, I'm looking at the video and I can see that I'm almost at the end, so I'm going to be putting this panel on, and so I just needed for it to dry a little bit, and then I said, okay, I don't have time for that, because I knew that I wasn't going to edit the video this much this week, just because of the time and the stuff that I've been doing in my craft space. So I just used the white matte, that white piece of paper, to just catch anything in case it was still heavy wet, and then here I am pointing out that, you know, you want to make sure that you only put it on half of the card because remember, you want the Z fold to work and you want it to open up and you don't want to stick it to the other side. So I have placed the card together and now you see me working that Z fold and show you from the top view of what it looks like. And so that's pretty much it. I mean, you can easily bang out a few of these together once you know all the measurements, and like I would be like cutting up a ton of bases and whatnot. So here I am zooming in just slightly because I know that I want to take some pictures, some still photographs. Okay, so here are my shots. This is the front of the card, and it's a little lifted because of the fact that there's a Z, and you really need to score and really press down on that paper to make sure it stays flat. But once you put it in an envelope and mail it, I think it'll stay there, and then when they open it, they'll really see the effect. The next shot that I'm going to show you is going to be the inside, just to get a full scoop. And basically, the inside like opened up, so it's almost like the front and the inside. So that's right now. It's a little lifted because you can see that that fold is in there, so it's not laying flat, but I think that it's cool, and I'm not sure if you can see what makes you different is what makes you beautiful. So she came with that stamp sentiment, and there's another one about being creative, which I also liked, but I thought this one was good. And finally, I'm going to show you a shot from above because that's what this whole video was about, this Z fold. So thanks to Alicia and thanks to Poet Spice for bringing this to our collaboration, and I hope that you will go down below, visit all the links of the ladies, and come back again next month and check out what we have going on. So please like, subscribe, share this video, and until September, I will see you soon. Thank you and goodbye.